I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Yeah, hi everybody. Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Today's guest is Beats from the Get Down podcast. I'm very privileged to have Beats on. I don't know much about Beats, and that's the way I like to do shit. That's the way I like to do stuff, because I don't like to go into something, like with a story and like an idea and have an image of this is how it's going to work out. Because, mate, it's about a couple of blokes having a chat. That's what my deal's about. It's about the truth. I'm a couple of months older than you. So, but look, the reality is, mate, thank you very much for coming on The Truth About Addiction. We try to carry a message of hope, and we try to carry a message of, a lot of people use the word redemption. I don't know about that word, you know what I mean? I use the word of just doing my best on a daily basis. I'm not out to change the world, I'm out to change myself. And by changing myself, that helps somebody else grouse.
Yeah, fucking A.
And I try not to harm, I try not to harm. That's my biggest deal, is don't create harm. Try to wish goodwill on everybody, even people that I don't like. And after a while, I stop disliking them. But I don't have to like them still. I stop disliking them, So which is about my peace of mind, really. So, mate, tell us your story, please, brother.
I'm 45 years old. I was born and raised in Adelaide, South Australia. So you don't hold that against me. I moved up here 2019. I'm in the Sunshine Coast now. So I moved up here with my missus and my 9-year-old lad. I've got a 23-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old granddaughter.
Beautiful.
And so because of that, so the reason that we started a dialogue, and I've got the podcast. Look, bit of shameless self-promotion, the Get Down podcast, which I do. Different types of interviews. Whoever interests me sort of gets an invite on. And the reason our dialogue has sort of started up is I'm like 3.5 months sober off the piss today, and believe it or not,
it's brilliant.
And people who know me is like my close friends and family who know me well will be quite surprised by that. Had a bit of a tumultuous relationship with booze over the years. There's been stages where I've been a full-blown alcoholic, and I've used pretty much every drug you can think of, and been addicted to a lot of drugs, everything except heroin. I never touched the heroin. That's me in a nutshell. I'm a disability support worker and an ex-youth worker, so hence with the youth side of it, this is the first time I've shared my story of addiction publicly. I am writing about it in a book, but this is the first platform that I've ever used to talk about it publicly, because I watch your show and I like what you're doing. I know the message behind your show, and I believe in it.
No, thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. We we're only about trying to help people. It's very humbling to see somebody get clean, because people go, "Oh, I'm only clean 3.5 months." That's a miracle. It's a lot of days.
Yeah, I think like 100. Hang on a minute, I got an app.
Yeah, good. Keep that app.
109 days. Yeah, 3 months, 17. 3 months, 17 days.
I can't do the app. I can't do I suppose I could, but I've never done it. But I'm 36 years, 6 months clean. I haven't had a drink since 1982, and I haven't had a drug since the 3rd of the 3rd, 86.
Do you still think about it?
Mate, no, I don't, mate. I don't think about it. Don't get me wrong. A flash will come through your mind. Like, I was explaining to somebody the other day, I'm an old heroin addict. So back in the 70s, when I started using heroin wasn't the white powder you get these days from Thailand. It was mostly from Malaysia, and it was brown rocks and all that sort of stuff, and grey rocks, because they never had the chemical refinements that, there was smack from Thailand, but we didn't use it because it was white powder and people could just cut that and mix it up. So we used to get rock. And it was an alkaline, so you had to put lemon or vinegar with it to make it dissolve. So, you know, you're a junkie, you haven't got 2 bob, you've got to go and steal some vinegar from the fish and chip shop or steal a lemon off someone's tree to have your shot. So even today, 41 years I've been doing this recovery stuff. Sometimes I'll smell brown vinegar.
Yeah.
And it'll trigger that reaction. You know, do I think about using? No, I don't. I'm too honest with myself to pretend that there was anything good about it because the joy has been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
I stopped.
Yeah.
The joy had gone, you know what I mean? Because we don't just wake up one morning and go like, oh, fuck, I'm over this. I'm going to stop. We battle with the stopping because addiction's about a relationship with a chemical, you know, and that chemical can be anything. And it's basically dopamine, the chemical of our brain. So, you know, you can I got clean and all that and got a full bodysuit, you know, from my neck to my toes because I was addicted to that. You know, I was addicted to crime. Crime was the last thing I gave up.
Right.
I was 16 years clean when I went back to prison. I got sentenced to 18 years.
That's it. How long of that did you do?
I did 8.
Fuck. Up here?
Yeah, up here in Queensland, clean.
Nice and warm.
Horrific. When everyone in there's on subby and fucking, you know, crazy and, you know, it's just rubbish, you know, yeah. But you know what, mate? I have a belief in some sort of higher power. I don't know what it is. But while I was in prison, a lot of blokes got clean. A lot of blokes got introduced to recovery. So therefore, sounds crazy. I think it was worthwhile doing the lagging.
Wow.
A lot of people's lives got saved, you know.
Pretty selfless way of looking at it, mate.
Well, you got to make fucking lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
You know, you know, I'm not that self-centered anymore to think that I'm special. I'm just a garden variety junkie, and I believe that my higher power directs me in areas of my life to carry the message of recovery because that's my duty. As a recovering heroin addict, alcoholic, criminal, sex addict, gambler, you put anything in front of me to change the way I feel, I can abuse it.
Yeah.
You know, I can abuse anything. I'm obsessive, not compulsive.
Yeah.
I don't have one car.
Yeah.
I have one wife because that's all I can fucking put up with. But you know what I mean? Like, but 20 years ago, I didn't have one wife. You know, I'd have a wife and a mistress. And they'd know about each other. You know what I mean? That was my lifestyle. You know, when you think you're a gangster, you fucking live the gangster life. Yeah. Not even a gangster if you can't live the life.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it was just a facade of bullshit. And I found that my drinking and drugging was a facade of bullshit as well. Very similar. They're very closely related. Anything to escape reality because I don't know about you, your upbringing, but my upbringing, I was brought up by a gangster. Yeah, so I was taught a man didn't cry. He wasn't faithful. If your missus said something, you give her a backhander. This is my father to my mother, mind you. You know, so my whole life had to change when I got clean. And it wasn't hard learning stuff. The unlearning was the hardest part.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
100%. There's some things that you just can't unlearn. Like my son recently came home from school talking about hell, you know, like heaven and hell. Yeah. And I'm like, where'd you get this from? And, you know, cut a long story short, someone at the school had told him, the chaplain at the school had told him. And I was fucking livid, man. I'm like, because how's he going to unlearn that? Because I remember being told as a kid, if you do this, you go up. If you do this, you go down. And I'm like, I was terrified as a child, you know, until you work out as an adult that religion's just whatever you think about it. You know, I'm not going to judge people who are religious, but I was dirty as because I'm like, now he has to unlearn that. So we caught it young enough to go, well, mate, you can have your own decision on what hell is and what heaven is, and you know. But unlearning things, that's the key, man. Unlearning things and putting those things in place to say no, I'm not going to do that anymore. You know, like everything you said there, apart from the heroin and the gambling, I've done. I've been down that road, and only till very recently, I still had a finger in the pie of the criminal world, man. You know, like I won't say what, but I was still dabbling. You know, I was still dabbling, and it's someone that I've met recently just sort of pulled me up on it and said, "You're doing all this, you're changing your life so much.
Yeah.
What's next? What about this element of it? And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I'll let that go too. I'll let that ship sail as well. And it's hard, walking away from, as you know, walking away from big, quick, easy money is fucking hard to do, man. And then to be at work going, fuck, man, I've been here 8 hours. I could have made this in 8 seconds.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, it's hard to walk away from. But that was part of the move up here from Adelaide, was to sort of get away from other people that were still using, other people that were still in that world. I got mates still getting locked up.
Yeah.
I love them, and fucking they're on their own journey. Don't get me wrong, like I don't judge them for it, but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be caught up in that, and just over some stupid shit like having a drink, driving, fucking run someone over and get 20 for vehicular manslaughter. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And that's the
what
behavior.
happened?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was drink driving, and even when I moved up here, because in Adelaide you can have a beer in your car, and and you get pulled over. It doesn't matter as long as you're not pissed, and as long as you're not distracted. So when I moved up here, I was fucking, I got a fridge inside my car, and I'm like, yeah. And I got pulled over, and the copper said, he goes, "What's going on here?" I said, "I'm not drunk. I'm just having a beer." I still have my SA plates on, and I was lucky. He was a good copper, and who said, "No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Throw it out." Breath over me, and I was literally one sip in. And I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't know." And he was like, "Never again. Don't do it again."
Yeah.
And it was only, fucking 6 months ago. Probably not even that long ago. I came home. I had a few beers, and then I'm like, I'm going out to get some more. It's just around the corner. 4 beers in, I would have blown over. Came home, drank those 4, and said, I'm going to go and get some more. It's just around the corner. I could pull out my driveway and hit a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there goes me for my child's upbringing forever. So I went to uni with a fucking hangover, and I went to the bathroom, like putting water on my face, and I literally looked in the mirror and had that big, hard, long look at myself and said, what are you doing here? What's the point of coming to university if you're going to rock up hungover and you can't retain any of the information?
Yep.
And I just said, that's it. I made a promise to myself. I said, that's it. No more drinking. You're going to go home, tell the family, tell some friends, tell friends who invite me to situations. I'm not drinking anymore. Downloaded the app that night, this app that fucking keeps me accountable, and started, and I remember, and it's not very long, like 3.5 months is not very long, but it's fucking done me wonders. But I remember getting to 12 hours and going, oh, this is gammon. This app's a bit fucking gammon. And then I got to 24 hours and I'm like, oh, one day whoopie-doo. Because at the stage I wasn't full-blown drinking every night, but I was drinking enough to I was drinking, probably having 4 every day, or pulling into a bottle shop and grabbing a tally, and drinking it. And then it's a slippery slope with the booze. But when I got to 7 days, I'm like, oh, we're off here, and then 7 became 14, and then boom, bang, 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 bang. And now there's been a few times where I'm like, fuck, I could go a beer. But there's two triggers. There's the, I wouldn't mind the taste of a beer right now. And then there's been 2 or 3 times where I've been really pissed off and my mind's fucking ticking. And I'm like, if I had some booze now, it would really, really slow me down. But I've sort of just lent into the breath work training, sort of going for a walk. And I did Jeff's Cut the Bullshit program. Yep. So that held me accountable for 30 days as well. And then on top of that, I did Dry July. And from there, I just can't see myself going back. I'm now questioning when I will allow myself to have another drink, how I would do that. And then I get to that point and I'm like, what's the fucking point? Like, if you're just going to have one beer, then just don't have one. And I'm big on numbers. So I've got 100 days. Let's get to 200 days. And then let's get to a year. And if I got to a year of no piss and I had one on the 366th day, I'll just fucking, I know what I'm like. I'll rip myself a new one. I'd be like right back to square one, and I wouldn't be able to deal with it. So I just can't see anything stopping me now. I've got my daughter's wedding coming up and my best mate's wedding coming up, and I've just told them I'm not going to be drinking.
Yeah.
You know, my best mate was like, "But I bought you a fucking food and booze package." I'm like, you know,
I'll eat a lot. I'll sell the beers to you, mate.
he understands. He understands.
Mate, look, something about alcoholism is, I explain it like this: if you get hit by a train, what kills you? The first carriage or the last carriage? The first one.
Yeah, that's
Same
right.
with drinking.
It's a slippery slope for me too, because I'm a happy drunk. So I'm not a danger. I'm not going to get pissed and going out there and abusing my missus and hit my kid, and but I'm like, hey, so I'm a bit, and that can lead to bad decisions, man. You know, bad decisions. Getting in my car, you know, fucking texting people, you know, stupid shit, you know, and then just the next morning, the anxiety of waking up in the morning and checking my Instagram story. Oh, what the fuck? Like, you know, what have I posted, or have I offended someone? And then, like, you know, getting to the point where, like, I don't get blackout drunk, but I have blackouts when I'm drunk. And through my life, you know, I've upset a lot of people, and it's been because of alcohol. And it's like, you know, I don't need to go out and chase them down and say I'm sorry. But with my actions, with me being sober now, there's a couple close friends that are sort of starting to acknowledge it, and some people I've really, really hurt, and the good mates that I've really hurt in the past have sort of reached out and going, I'm watching, I'm seeing this. So that kind of makes me feel good.
Actions speak louder than words. I say to people, don't tell me sorry, show me sorry.
Yeah.
Show me sorry. If you want to make amends, you stop doing what you used to do for a start. And that's the way of making amends. Sorry is just a word. I don't know how many times I said sorry and then went and did the same thing again and again and again. You know, I say making the same mistake and expecting different results is a form of insanity. That's not mine. That's Albert Einstein's.
Albert Einstein, yeah.
You know, and then the 12-step programs adopted that same theory. You know, AANA, all those 12-step programs adopted that same theory. That making the same mistake and expecting different results is a sign of insanity. For me, once I put chemicals in my body, I can no longer guarantee my behavior.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the sign that I'm powerless over chemicals.
Yeah, 100%. I'm bad with I should give you like go right back and sort of tell you how it ramped up, but I'm bad with the rack. So if I have that, I'm just like, fucking see you later, mate. Piston in the wind, just don't give a fuck, just so confident. Let's go. And I'm off. I can go for days, you know. But I guess it's almost like I forgot that people are going to be listening. And it's just you and me. But to give listeners a bit of context, so I grew up in a pretty chill family. I wasn't abused or anything like that. But my mum was an alcoholic, and my biological father was an alcoholic. But I wasn't raised by him. I never knew him. I was raised by a stepfather who I loved.
Yep.
He died when I was 13. He was Greek, and there would have been no room for dole bludgeoning, alcohol. There would have been none of that. There would have just been unacceptable. You worked hard, you got rich, you fucking looked after your family.
Bought a house for the kids.
That's right. Have him out in the back. But he died at 13, and my brother, he knew I wasn't coping. My brother was already like in the criminal world, and he said, I was just talking to the bloke I was with about it the other day. He came and blew us out, got us stoned for the first time. And I fucking hated it. I hated it. It was just like no control. But 2 days later, we'd found weed again. And then this is about 13. By 14, I was drinking. I was already drinking. It was in my family. It was okay to offer us a beer as a kid, you know, and we would go to the esky. They would buy us non-alcoholic beer, and we would slip the labels off from the esky and swap them and be walking around with fucking West Ends with the non-alcoholic label on it. So I was getting drunk real young and breaking into the cash and carry and knocking off beer, and we'd come home stinking of booze. But the old lady didn't know because she was an alcoholic. She couldn't smell it.
Yeah.
But by 14, we were fucking taking acid. We could get acid readily at school. You know, it was real easy to get. It was cheap. It was like $10 a tab. So we were getting on the acid, and I think it was just escapism. I didn't want to be at school. My dad had died. I didn't get any counseling. I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. So it was escapism, and then peer group pressure as well. I hung around with a lot of older blokes, so there's a lot of peer group pressure to be cool and to be on drugs. I smoked cigarettes as well, real young. Even though I never liked them. My mum used to smoke, and I hated them. They made me feel sick in the back of the car. But I was smoking weed and taking acid, and ecstasy had just come in.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Come in, and there was speed floating around. So that's the old speed that you
Truck driver
snorted.
speed. Truck driver speed.
Real speed. So I remember having a few lines once, and I'm like, that's not really for me. My brother had warned me. He goes, if I find out you're doing anything heavier than this, I'll give you a flogging. So I was like, okay, I won't upset him. I'll just keep doing what I do. Then I was shagging this bird, and she would get into the speed, and she would eat it. She wouldn't snort it. She would eat it. And then it just changed. It just changed to getting a whole fucking big bag to points. And so yeah, all right, we'll get onto that. We'll eat it, get out and key it. And then one day this bloke said to me, goes, do you want to have a shot? And I'm like, oh nah, man, my brother will fucking kill me if he found out. And he goes, nah, you'll be right. It's the best way. It's the best way to have a shot. So fucking boom, and Bob's your uncle's, you know, it was good. I'm not gonna lie.
Mate.
It's a good feeling. And you know, it was justified to me that, and it's true, it is the best way to take drugs. It's the cleanest way to take drugs is to inject it, but also extremely fucking addictive. And because of the stigma that came with needles, I became very good at hiding that I used, and I was what you would call a functioning junkie. You know, yeah. I kept my job. I did steal, but I didn't steal from, like, I didn't do burgs and stuff like that. I had shoplifted. Became a really fucking good shoplifter to sort of feed the habit. But I kept working, and I was a junkie from about 17 and a half to about 20 years old. Probably 21. I was using. Everyone around me was using, and the woman I was with at the time, who ended up being my daughter's mother, I dragged her into it. She was using, and well, she's not gonna like that if she hears this. But and then we found out that she had fallen pregnant, and I just said, that's it, we've got to stop. That is it. I remember that last shot that I had, and I said, this is it, bang, this is the goodbye, see you later. Did it. And I was thinking about it before I was coming on the show, and I've been thinking about it because I'm writing about it at the moment. How did I stop? I don't fucking know, man. I just made a promise to myself and said, that's it, we're having a kid. We can't bring a kid into the world as junkies, because every cent's going on the gear. And she couldn't have it in her system. She never used while she was pregnant, but I was still using. Like, she was just dibbling and dabbling, and just made that promise. That, you know, and then I was clean for a while, still drinking, still smoking weed. Would probably still take a pinger every now and then. And then 2002, so that's, my daughter's born 99. Yeah, so then 2002, my sister died. So I was clean 3 years, and then my sister died giving birth. So that just fucking knocked me for a six. And I remember the day I fucking drank a bottle of scotch and took a bottle of Valium and smoking whatever. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to go score. I'm going to get on. My daughter's mum was like, nah, man, don't do that. Your sister wouldn't want that.
Yep.
Went and got on, had a fucking big night, went to a gig. There was a hip hop gig on. And I went to that gig, had a shot that night. No one knew. No one fucking knew. I didn't tell anyone. I kept all that separate. And then from there, that felt good. That helped ease the pain. Believe it or not, that the meth helped ease the pain. And then bang, 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 I was back on for about 2002. About for another good 2.5 years, I was using heavily again every day.
Yeah.
You know, probably $250 a day. I don't know where the fuck I got the money from. Like,
Find ways and means to get
I
more.
just don't know. And you're so resourceful when you're a user. Like I do draw on those. Well, I try, but I can't really remember. But I try and draw on that hustle to this very day. Like if I want to do something, I'm like, I can do it. I know how to do it. What if this was for booze? What if this was for drugs? You would fucking make it happen. So if you can't make an excuse and say I can't get to the gym or I can't eat healthy today, that's bullshit. Because if it was destructive path, you know your way down that path. But for a non-destructive path, you've just got to, it's just a little bit more uphill. Destructive's downhill, constructive is uphill. So yeah, and then am I talking too much?
No way. No fucking way.
Then one day I was hanging out with this bloke, me and another mate who was real close to me. We were using heaps. We were using fucking, just too much. And no one in my group knew. I'm in a hip hop group. No one knew in the crew except for me and this other bloke. And one day I was hanging around with my dealer. I was dealing for him as well. So it was just everywhere. It was just everywhere. There was so much of it. I knew a cook at the time. It was just everywhere. And one day I swapped a really prized possession, a record, this green Hilltop Hoods record. I swapped it for a shot. And it was worth about, the records now they go for about $800. But at the time it was probably a $300 record, and I swapped it for a hit. And I went home and I had it, and it was shit. But it was really bad. And I rang him up and said, I want my record back. I said that was shit. And he was like, "No, mate, it's not a fucking convenience store." And I just went, you know what? Fuck you and fuck your drugs. I'm done. Don't fucking don't sell to me anymore. I went around his house and had a proper conversation with him. I said, "You're not my mate. You're my dealer, and I don't want to know you anymore. And I don't want to know you. I don't want to know you. I don't want to know you." And I confessed to my crew. Everyone in my crew, I'm like, I've been using. Some of them didn't even believe me. I confessed, and I showed them syringes. I said, "Look, man, these are in my bedroom." I showed him my arms. I was really good at hiding it. You just wouldn't have known. And again, it was just a promise. It was just a promise. That's it. I'm done with that, and I've never had a shot since. But this is I've said this before on my show with Jeff. My life is like a fucking board with 9 holes in it, right? And I got 8 pegs to fill them. It doesn't. So if I move the meth one, and if I move a peg and put it in that meth hole, then the alcohol one opens. If I cover up that one, the sex and the women,
it's called
or there's got to be something gushing out of it, right?
Yeah.
So getting off the gear, I'm just on the drink, and then what happened down and out South Australia? Then the rack came in, So
yeah.
Then we go down that trail. But in saying that, with the pills and the coke, it wasn't as I got to get up and have one. It was like, oh, we're going out tonight. Should we get a bag? Should we get on the bag? The coke and the pills had a bit more of a, oh, that's cool, that's okay. Whereas if you're using meth, it's like, oh, look at the fucking
scumbag.
Yeah, look at the So there was a few years there where I was using pills a lot, still doing all the same damage. And then the rack a lot, hanging around, and that stigma, it's more expensive. The rack's more expensive. It's harder to get. You're kind of cool if you can get it. So I was using that for a while. Then I got my baby mama pregnant with our boy. And that was another. So right through the whole pregnancy, I was fucking drinking and smoking and just doing whatever I wanted. And I said, I promise, as soon as he's born, I'll stop. That's it. I'll stop. And she's like, and I was ramping up. I was like drinking a carton and smoking and sitting, just out in the studio, fucking making noise and absolutely running amok, making really bad decisions. I don't really want to say them on here, but
Yeah, that's all right.
Making bad decisions. And that he was born. That's it. Stop. And I did for a while. Then I became a social drinker, but I was done with the weed by then. So this is all defined down to alcohol by now. So I'm drinking socially. And then I just started to see, and then weddings, at weddings have a bump, birthdays have a bump, I didn't see the badness in it. It was cool. The group of friends I was around, it was cool to get on the rack, so, and then I moved up here, fucking cut all ties with everyone that does that. So since I've been up here 4 years. I've had rack once.
Yeah.
I had one line, like one tiny little line, and I was like, ugh, I really regretted it, instantly regretted it, and just left the situation, left that party right there. And then the alcohol, drinking, slowing right down. But fucking no, I'm 45 now. I can't handle a hangover.
Yeah.
And then I had this epitome of at the university. And then not only that, it's nothing good has ever come from alcohol, right? Like no good decisions are made. Every fight I've ever had with my missus, there's been alcohol involved. Every argument with a mate, there's been alcohol involved. Any fucking any time missed out on with my son while I'm hungover is because of alcohol. And I just said, that is fucking it. I am completely done. And again, I don't know. I'm not even there yet. I'm still on a journey. I'll never use meth again. I perished the thought. I can't even smell it. I'll throw up if I smell it. I'll never use a syringe ever again. I don't even like getting my blood tested, But the booze still sits there. The booze is still saying, hey, why don't you come over here? But again, going back to the other things, all I did was make a promise, and this one I made to my son and my granddaughter and my daughter and myself and my missus. And the promise was, I don't want them to see me drunk. I don't want my granddaughter, who's only 3, I don't want her to see me out of control, go, oh, Dave, come on. I don't want that. I just don't want to. I want to live longer. I want to fucking hit my 80s. I want to be running around with my granddaughter and, and I'm still on that. But I know I can get it. Like, I know, I'm just so fucking confident that maybe in a year I can have a few beers, but not yet. Not now. Not right now,
Let's
So
cross
I did
that
the
bridge.
same with cigarettes. Cigarettes was the same. My daughter said to me, Dad, I don't want you to die from a cigarette-related disease. So I go, okay, then. I grabbed the packet and threw them out the window. I don't know what year that was, but it was only $12 for a packet of smokes. And I saw a bloke buy a packet the other day, packet of Rollies, two packets of Tally Hos and the filters, and it cost him $90. So I'm glad I got out when I did.
Yeah, mate. Oh, yeah, I haven't had a cigarette since 1986 either. So, it's been a while since. I remember an old bloke saying to me in the 70s, he said, an old Italian guy, he owned a service station. I used to put racing fuel in my car those days because I've always been a rev head. And he goes, are you marking my words, son? One day, petrol, $1 a gallon, and cigarettes, $1 a packet. And I said, not in my lifetime, old mate. Yeah, $1 a gallon and $1 a packet. I said, not in my lifetime. Fuck.
Look, mate.
Eh? Golly, gumdrops. Do you reckon I wasn't out of control? I reckon I wasn't delusional. But yeah, mate, look, with all the stuff you're saying, it's all beautiful and it's all wonderful. But the reality is, just for the day, you got to just worry about today. Who knows what's going to happen in a year's time? Who cares? Just for the day. I stay clean just for one day, every day. I don't say I'll never use again. I say I'm not going to use for the day.
Yeah, that's what we said on the phone the other day when we had a call.
Yeah.
So talk me through that, mate. You know, talk me through today, like when you woke up this morning.
Okay, I wake up in the mornings. I run a rehab. It's an outpatients rehab, right? The minute I wake up, I go to my phone and I open up. I get a message every day from a thing called Just for the Day. Bang, there it is. There, it's an email from mine. Comes from New Zealand because it gets here first, and because the Australian one doesn't come out till 12. I'm up early. I want to read it when I wake up. And today it says, for many of us, since this 12-step program that I'm part of was the answer to the personal puzzle of long-standing. Why do we always feel alone, even in a crowd? We wondered. Why did we do so many crazy, self-destructive things? Why did we feel so badly about ourselves so much of the time? And now had our lives gotten so messed up, we thought we were helplessly bad, perhaps hopelessly insane. Given that, it was a great relief to learn that we suffered from a disease of alcoholism, disease, addiction. Because what we say is, what I say is, we're not responsible for where it came from. I already know, just talking to you already, because this is what I do for a living, I already know where your trauma come from. And I know why you drink and drug. That's my job. That's my job. You know what I mean? That's my job. My job is to teach people how to not use on a daily basis. You know, and then every morning, as soon as after I read that, I go into my messages and I get a bunch of messages there going down. People that are grateful for what and they've got to send me a message every day what they're grateful for. Because I believe a grateful addict won't use drugs and a grateful alcoholic won't drink, you know? So I won't tell you this guy's name. Good morning, my dear Ronnie, he calls me. Today I'm incredibly grateful. I'm 146 days clean. I've stopped my nicotine replacement. I feel fine. I don't need any drugs to get a balance and I feel okay. Your podcast with Brock was brilliant. You know, this is a guy who goes, I love the message. The trees around me, this is what he's grateful. My friendship with his ex-girlfriend, amazing. It's gentle, honest, and wouldn't exist without recovery. Yeah. I'm grateful for my mum. She takes no shit and she guides our house. This guy here is a successful businessman.
Yeah, right.
And he's talking about being grateful for his mum because now he's got his mum back. And he was on that and he was on alcohol like stupid amounts. And was a functioning alcoholic addict.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, is that word functioning, because that's what I was like. I got another mate up here who's coming on 7 years sober, and he's same thing. I just bumped into him the other day, and when I told him about what I'm doing, he embraced me, like physically embraced me. Mate, anything you want, and he talked to me. He goes, when you're ready, about giving back. And I did go to one meeting, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. There was too much religion in there. I saw the undertow of religion. I'm like, see you later.
Yeah,
but it was good. It was good for me to see those people and the vulnerability and the gratitude. And then again, I've always been this way, but reiterated through Jeffrey Morgan's program, the Cut the Bullshit. It was a big accountability program, and we were going in writing, what are you grateful for each day? And he taught us to go, it's not your kids, it's not your family. Think about it. So behind you, where you can't see, if I open those curtains, I've got this fucking amazing view of just bushland. So I stand out, there's this one tree out there. And I started thinking, how long's that fucking tree been there, mate? You know, long before me and long after me. You know, that tree. So I've, fucking traipsed down there and avoid the snakes. I went down there and just looked at this tree, and it's fucking humongous, you know. And I'm like, provides shade in the afternoon, provides me something to look at. I am grateful for this fucking tree, you know. And now here I am going, I'll fucking get the peace pipe out. I'm a hippie now, but that gratitude, it does. It really helps. And just little things, like you say. I guess might be being optimistic saying that, like I'm not going to drink again, or I'm good for the next 100 days. I don't break it down into those 1 days, but with the little app I do, I'm like, oh, there's another day, and ask me how I feel. You know, how I feel. I feel confident, and it looks back, and there's been days where I've said it hasn't been easy. You know, I've been off and
But if it was easy, you wouldn't appreciate it.
Nah. Well, that's it. You
Seriously.
got to enjoy the journey, mate.
Yeah, if it was easy, you wouldn't appreciate it. You know, Jeffrey and I talk a lot. You know, I
Good
rang him
guy.
yesterday. You know, I rang him yesterday and we had a chat about, you know, just, you know, I like Jeffrey, you know, and you know, I've known him of him since he was a little young fella, you know, running around the streets, you know, because I'm a lot older than all you guys, you know, and you know, his philosophy is really good because he brings it back to nature. See, I believe in when you drink alcohol or put any chemical in your body, what you do is you put a cloak called denial over your soul. When you're communicating with the people you love, you're communicating with your soul, not with your brain. Your brain is where the disease lives. Your brain is where it tells you one won't hurt. Your brain tells you your brain tells you you're smarter than everybody else. No one will know. I call it the disease of denial. It's the cloak, you know, it's that fucking, you know, nothing to see here. You throw a towel over you so you think no one can see you. You know, and once you take a chemical, you're no longer connecting from heart to heart.
Yeah.
Because you've got the shield over your heart. And I believe my soul lives in my heart, you know.
Yeah.
There's two different things, your heart and soul, but I feel stuff in my soul that I know is the truth, and yet my brain will tell me something different. So what I've learned to do is not listen to my brain. I don't trust my own thinking. You know, and mine gets really deep if you get into it. I call my thinking the pedophile. Because it's been screwing me since I was a kid.
Oh, fucking hell.
My thoughts have been wrong since I was a little child. Yeah, mate. My thoughts have been screwing me since I was a kid, you know what I mean? Telling me it was okay to steal, telling me it was okay to lie, telling me it was okay to harm people. It was okay to, you know, because I used to shoot people, I used to do all horrible things, you know? My brain told me it was okay. You know, I didn't hurt innocent people. I was in amongst the painters and dockers in Melbourne and gangsters and criminals, and, you know, everyone was shooting everybody. It was like, you know, that's what we did. You know, I don't apologise for it and I don't glorify it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
If my father had been a lawyer, I probably would have been a lawyer. If my father had been a copper, I probably would have been a copper. My old man was a gangster.
Yeah.
And I can't apologise for it because I can't change it. I'm powerless over my past. I'm not powerless over my future. I'm not powerless over today. What I do today will design my future. So today, if I bring love and kindness and forgiveness into my life, and I project that upon myself and other people, then I'll have love and kindness in my future.
Yeah.
I bring,
What you put out there comes back, mate, doesn't it?
well, that's where I believe in spirituality, not religion. I don't like religion.
Yeah. No, I'm the same.
You get me into a ramp, not, you know, you get me into a rant, you know, like my experience with religion is, you know, I know of pedophilia is in the churches. It was all about controlling, you know, like, and it was horrible stuff. When I was a little kid, it wasn't good experiences. You know? I remember going to the monasteries and just really bad feelings in the place. You know, I was never touched, but plenty of other kids were. Yeah? I have a horrible joke. I say the reason I took up drugs because I wasn't even good enough for the priest to touch me. You know,
My brother says that.
Yeah. I wasn't even good enough for the priest. You know, how bad was I? But you know, it doesn't matter why we used. I can tell you that now. It doesn't matter why we used. Why we stopped is important. And why I stopped was because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, 100%.
The joy is gone.
I'm interested to get why you think you said you can see why I use. What do you reckon?
Trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma. You were adopted, right? So your first dad went, and your second dad passed away by the time you was fucking 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your next trauma was your sister.
Yeah.
And each time there was trauma, you reacted to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And
Sorry,
that's
right? So I only tell the truth. You asked the question.
No, man, no, it was good to see. I did have a few other things go on in my childhood that that in hindsight now looking back, you know, doing the program with Jeff, I didn't even realize it. I'm like, oh fuck my father, my real father, I don't care. But he talks about unpacking this invisible backpack, and it's in a few different studies, you know, they do it in psychology studies.
I do it in my program too. I make you do a whole lot. What you're doing now, I get all my clients to do. They've got to write their life story.
Yeah.
So they see what happened, where the changes happen. Then I give them where they're defected. We all have characters that make up our human self. And you'll see where they started to become defective throughout your childhood, and it usually in early days, around about 14 is really destructive defects of character. That's when we start getting I couldn't care less. You. We start getting that at around about 14, and you've already got the trauma, and then you've got that comes on top of it. You get this incredible, fuck you, I'm the man now. At 14, we think we're a man.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden,
no guidance. There's no guidance. Well, in my home, excuse me, I'll come home pissed.
Yeah.
You're all right. It's very normalized. And then not only that, Australian culture as well, like the drinking culture in Australia.
Yep.
You're all right. You'll be right. Or fucking harden up. I remember being a kid, fucking spewing everywhere, like drinking Sambuca and spewing up. Harden up, mate. Look at this young fella, you know, hanging around other crooks who are fucking, you know, in their 20s. Harden up, mate. You know, we're going to go out and do this, that, and the other. And, you know, dude's coming straight out of the can and fucking, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, what the fuck were you hanging around with me for anyway? I'm a child. You just got out of prison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got the same, mate. I've got the same story. You know, I was involved in a shootout when I was 17 and 2 months old with guys that had just got out of prison having a shootout with the police.
Fucking hell.
You know, I'm 17-year-old kid still got yellow poop. He's still pooping yellow at 17. I didn't even have hair on my face. You know, on that podcast I did with David Abita, there's a photo of my mugshot of when I was 17, and I was charged with attempted murders and all that stuff. It's horrific. It's horrific. I was in Pentridge at 17, charged with 5 attempted murders.
Fucking hell.
And I hadn't touched a drug.
Were you using in Pentridge?
No, I hadn't touched a drug.
All right. Okay.
I found drugs in Pentridge. They put me on a drug called Largactil.
Oh yeah, that's not.
That was my first injectable drug.
Fuck.
The first time I'd had an injection. I drank alcohol a couple of times, but I was always allergic to alcohol. I used to black out. Whenever I drank, I got into fights. And I always drank drived. Always.
Yeah.
And
that's the real silent killer, man. Is people go, oh yeah, there's the coward punch and the dangers of alcohol, but drink driving, man, and then chuck a mobile phone into the picture. You're not fucking looking at the road. So that was a big one for me. And that vehicular manslaughter, that does not, saying or anything. I got in trouble for I had a major indictable offense, right? So it was the end result was assault with intent and grievous bodily harm or some bullshit like that. And it involved my mother and a partner of hers off guts, right? Drunk, on ecstasy, on the rack, went round there, boom, gave it to him. Like really, really gave it to him. Stood up in court. What was my defense? I was fucking drunk and I was on drugs. That was my defense.
Yeah.
He was assaulting my mother, so I went in there and sorted him out. Well, the poor bloke, he was on drugs. I should have gone and done my time. They suspended it and let me off. In hindsight, I should have gone in. What I did and the effects that has had on my life and my mother, my daughter, everyone in my family is affected by that.
Yeah. And
they allowed it as a defense. My lawyer was like, don't worry about this. We fucking got you. You're on ecstasy. How are you meant to know what you're doing? Well,
there used to be a law. You know that, don't you? There used to be a law called diminished responsibility. Yeah. That's what they got you on. That's that law they use for you. Diminished responsibility. They don't use it. They don't allow it anymore. They've stopped it.
Yeah, which should be the opposite. The second you go ahead and take a drink or take a drug, you lose that right. It's like what I would do if I was to have a drink now, right? I would be like, here's my keys.
Yeah.
I'm going downstairs upstairs now, my studio. I'm gonna have a few drinks, I'm gonna play some music. And I'd definitely be putting safety nets around me. I'd say to the missus, you see me have more than 4, pull me up on it. You know, like that's how I would attack it in future. But again, in saying that, I don't think I would. But the fact that I was just like, I'll do what the fuck I want, man. And I've got away with it my whole life. I do whatever I want my whole life. I just do what I want. I see something, I'll take it. I want to do something, I'll do it. It's just got to stop.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it has stopped.
That's how it has. And I am talking about the positive side of it, the positivity, my fucking clarity. So I'm just so clear on what I want now and how to go about it. Dropped now 12 kilos, and I'm a big boy. I've always been a bit of a big boy. Dropped 12 kilos, fucking completely reversed diabetes. So I was type 2 diabetic. That's gone. Just had blood test. That's gone. I had gout. Went and got a blood test. They're like, nah, there's no signs of any uric acid, no more gout. So I'm on no medication at all. I stopped using Valium to sleep. Just fucking, I am still addicted. Like I said to you the other day, I'm addicted to the gym. So I train, 7 or 8 times a week.
That's not a bad addiction, mate.
Yeah,
That's pretty normal for when we first get off the gear or get off the piss. Nearly all my mates become gym junkies. I did. I've trained my whole life. I'm 68 in a couple of weeks. I've only stopped teaching fellas to fight.
Yeah, right.
8 years ago, 7 years ago, I was still teaching blokes to. No, when I'm teaching someone to spot fight, I'll do the pads with them, I'll spar with them, and everything else. In jail, I was still teaching fellas to fight and doing 16 rounds at 55 years of age. It's insane. But that's not a bad thing. That's, as you said before, we can use our defects of character as assets. Once you recognize, okay, I'm obsessive and compulsive, I use that in all areas of my life now to work. I don't use it for a negative, I use it for a positive. I have 8 demands. In my program, I have 8 demands. Openness, the state where you stand and not stand your ground. Be open with your thoughts and your feelings. I teach that. And to have an open mind, allow change to happen. Acceptance, to accept that other people can see you better than you can see yourself. If one person tells you you're fucked, have a look at it. If 2 people tell you you're fucked, have a real good look at it. If 3 people tell you you're fucked, you're fucked. Reliability. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're not going to do it, don't do it. Be reliable with your thoughts and your feelings. Be reliable with your time. Congruent. Don't ask somebody to do something you're not prepared to do. Don't ask someone to clean the toilet unless you're prepared to clean a toilet, And if you're going to clean the toilet, do it thoroughly. Start at the top, take the lid off, clean all inside the bowl, and then clean around the edges of the bowl. Do it thoroughly. Don't cut corners. Be thorough when you talk about your thoughts and your feelings. Consistency. You start the day at 5 miles an hour, you finish the day at 5 miles an hour. It's no good coming into a border gate and running out of petrol by 12 o'clock. Respect is the next one. You can't demand respect. I used to think you could stand over people and get respect. Respect has to be earned. Takes a long time to earn it and takes a short time to lose it.
Fuck yeah.
And then honesty, to be 100% honest with your thoughts and your feelings again. But also honesty means not leaving bits off so that I don't judge you. Don't add bits on so it sounds better. Tell it how it is. And at the bottom of those 8 demands, I'm going to email them across to you. I got them up with paper. And then at the bottom of that it says action. Then I say, I take the I out of the middle of action and I put, I act on these demands 100% to the best of my ability. I live by those demands. 12-step programs and all that are good, but I live by those demands. They're my demands. That's how I live my life.
They're good. I like the honesty. If I can pick that apart, the honesty for me, I mean, this is a public forum, you know, so there's some things I don't want out there because
the difference between honesty and stupidity.
Yeah, because it could harm other people by being 100% transparent. But that's the one where I do struggle with, and I guess play it down. Like I tell people, "Oh, do you want to have a drink?" Nah, I'm getting sober, but I'm not an alcoholic. I was just have, so I'm going like this. I say, why the fuck do I have to justify it to them? I just like, no, I'm not drinking. I'm getting sober, and I'm enjoying it. That's what I say now. I said, I love being sober right now, and if I'm to be honest with myself, I am, and what I want to do, and I'm not preachy. I'm not like, well, I'm to my missus, I am a little bit. I'm like, do you have to fucking drink in front of me? But I'm a bit judgmental. I'm a bit judgmental when it comes to users, like because I kind of feel I stopped. Why don't you? So I don't know if I could do your work, or I've got to get to a place where I'm not judgmental. So even with cigarettes, I fucking hate cigarettes, and if someone smokes around me, I'll let them know I hate it. And it's not because I'm triggered by it. It's just because I see it as a sign of weakness, and then I can, and whether that keeps me accountable to being clean and being sober is if I look at someone else, I'm like, you're weak, you know. So that's something I've got to shed, because I've been there, done that. I should have empathy for that person, but I'm still not there yet. But again, with the honesty, it's I am still struggling with that, because I am still justifying to a sense when there is a time. The reason I'm sober, because there has been times where I wake up, I make music. There's been times where I wake up, my fucking face is on the keyboard, my hands on the mouse, and I look up and I can't even get to bed. And that's my bed. You know? So, and I'm like, whoa. So, especially back in the day, and then to hear, you know, like I've destroyed friendships, and I'm lucky those friendships have been strong enough that I've been able to redeem those friendships. But alcohol almost destroyed a friendship with one of my best mates. You know, like he moved overseas, and while he was overseas, he fucking really let me have it. He's like, there's things you've done, this, that, and the other. He sent me these emails, and I'm like, fuck, you know. And I'm lucky enough to have him in my life still these days. And I sent him a message the other day. I just wanted to. I said, there's been times in life where I've been an absolute cunt to you. I'm glad you're still in my life. Didn't mention the booze, didn't mention, look at me, I'm fucking, it was just a thank you. Thank you for accepting me for who I am. And there's that whole analogy. I had a bloke on my podcast, Richie Gibson, and he told me about not preaching. He goes, don't go around preaching. He goes, you've got to be the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is here. The lighthouse doesn't go running around telling the boats, don't crash here, don't crash here. It doesn't go around and try and save the boats. It stands there with its light on, going like this. If you don't want to crash, do not come here. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is lead by my actions, more so for my children. Like, I don't want my son. He asked me the other day about it. He's like, so can I have a beer when I'm 18? I'm like, yeah, of course you can. It's your choice. I said, but it's dad's choice to not drink, because I don't want you to see me like that. You know, and I've been very blessed. My daughter doesn't drink. Like, she came up here and visited. I bought her a 6-pack, and she drank 2. Didn't smoke, didn't drink, whereas her mother does, and I do. You know, so I'm very, very blessed in that aspect. So I've never really asked her, did she not drink because she saw me and her mum drink? I've never asked her. I've just been like, just respected that she doesn't, and really enjoyed that she doesn't. But that lighthouse analogy, I'm doing it for my kids and for my granddaughter. And here, I came on here because if one person can take something from this, and you're doing amazing shit and you're touching multiple lives, but if one person can sort of resonate with me and go, I'm a bit like that, I just have a couple, I'm not, you know, again, this whole podcast, I've kind of been justifying my use, my using, you know, I've kind of justified my using words like functioning junkie, not really an alcoholic. They're justifications that we tell ourselves. So going back to what we're saying, the honesty, probably safe to admit that I'm not really there yet in that honesty aspect. So do send them over, mate. And
but it takes time. You got to remember, this is a process. What you're going through right now is a process, and it takes time. I call it an onion, and it's like peeling layers of the onion off to get to a deeper and deeper of honesty. I mean, and that's why my company's called The Truth About Addiction.
Yeah,
I wrote a book called The Truth About Nothing. That my book's here. I've got my book in front of me. We're going through now, doing the last editing of it, and it's humongous, mate. Look, fucking, you know.
Well, you'll have to come on my show and plug it when it's ready, mate.
Yeah, mate, so we're going to do the, you know, we've got the book there. That finished in 2022 when I got arrested. I haven't written since then. I've got to rewrite the second half. My book will be 3 books because, you know, I'm old, 68, and there's the whole life of crime, and then there's a life of drug addict, and then there's a life of being clean, you know, and there's still there's a life of crime in between that. So I had crime, drug addiction, then crime, you know, but I've had recovery. But see, what you're going through is really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And you've really got the basis for it, brother. You really have, mate, you know, because I say I work on attraction, not promotion. By doing what I say I do and watching me, people get attracted to recovery. They're going to be out there big noting and promoting. Yeah, mate, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Because you know what, mate? That's not where the bucket of piss to me. Because I used to see, this is another thing. When I was a little kid, there was a family that lived near our place, and I was envious of them. You know, they went to church. The father was a worker. The son worked in the bank. You know, his son was a bank teller. We ended up by robbing that bank. But I used to envy that. Then I found out that after church, I'm meant to be beating the mother and the kids up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm talking about when I was only 14, 15, you know, and the son was a bank teller, blah, 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 you know. And as I said, you know, like, but yeah, that's a story for another day, the bank teller. But, you know, the reality is, you know, I don't look outside myself anymore. But I know that when I'm present for my children have grown from it and they've gained from it. I have a daughter who's 40 years of age in December. She's one of my twins. I've got twin daughters, 40 years of age. In December, I've got to keep saying in December because she'll hear this and she'll go, I'm not fucking 40 yet. I'm not 40 yet, you know. But she runs a drug rehab. She's the head nurse of a drug detox unit. She's 13 years clean.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Because she got off the tracks. She got off the tracks when I went back to prison and she got on it. And my mates had to come in and step in and help her because I wasn't here. You know, and I was oblivious to the fact that my kid was using.
Yeah. Well, that's the chameleon effect I was saying earlier, how, you know, when I admitted to some of my friends the second time around when I was going pretty hard, they were like, we don't believe you. You know, they were like, are you kidding me? And I was like, look, have a gaze. And they're like, that doesn't mean anything to us, because it's like they were younger than me, my mates, and they were like, the thought of me sticking a needle in my arm didn't register. It didn't register with them because I was so functioning. Hey, I would be going to a gig and I'd be like, hang on, I'm just going to go change my shirt. Boom, boom, boom. Go, all right, ready to go, let's go. Like, fuck, he's pumped, you know, like fucking smashing down the beers. Could do it driving along, you know.
You know what the nice part is, and this is honest, when I was running amok overseas many years ago, I was still clean. I was probably 12 years clean, and I was going to big parties from big bad people all around the world, and there'd be parties like, and as you walk in the door, they'd give capsules of MDMA. As you walk in the door, there's a girl there, there's a waitress there with a big gold plate, and she just hold it out, you just take what you want as you walk in. And because I'd take it, then I'd throw it away because I didn't take nothing. Then the next day or 2 days later, you see the host of the party and they'd be like, oh, man, you were so out of it. You know, fucking everyone was laughing. Yeah. How crazy you were. I was straight.
Yeah.
I still have as much fun now straight than what I ever had when I was using. And I actually get to remember it.
Yeah.
That's the really nice part about it. But the best part about being clean is the connection you have with your family, the spiritual connection. I call the spiritual connection the love. Because when you're using, you're covering that up. You're dulling the love. Alcohol, whatever chemical, they numb our hearts. They numb our soul. They stop us having the ability to accept the love that's been given to us because we don't love ourselves. That's the biggest thing. By getting clean, you'll learn to love yourself again, and you'll learn to trust yourself. And by learning to trust and love yourself, you can learn to trust and love other people.
That's powerful, man. Do you know what? Do you know what I'm learning? I've always been one to say, yeah, I love myself. What I'm learning is how to like myself.
Yeah.
Right. So to sit with myself. So I put so when I drink, I'm a fucking cool guy on beats. Hey. All right. So drinking's not there anymore. So I can't. So I've come home fucking stressed out, or, you know, I've got to sit with it. I'm going to sit with it. I put the television on to sleep. I'm like, no, I'm going to stop that. That's a childhood thing. That's a trauma reaction. I'm going to stop that. So now I'm just lying there in my thoughts. So when I was younger, I'll be like going nuts. Like, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Anxiety. Why did this happen as a child? Why did that person have to leave me? Why did someone die? And now I'm just like, you know what? my missus went away the other week, and I was here by myself, and it was so quiet without my lad here. I'm like, fuck, how am I going to cope? You know, I've got the house to myself for 5 days. What am I going to do? Like, I tell you what I would have done 6 months ago. I would have been fucking, yeah, baby. I would have been drinking and bad decisions. Let's just say bad decisions.
I understand bad decisions.
And I just sat with it. I didn't even have the TV on for the 4 days. I just got productive. I had shit to do. I had uni work to do. I had podcasts to do. I'd made some beats. I make music, so I made some beats. And I just sat.
That too.
Yeah. I should make you a beat for your show.
Yeah, you should.
But I just sat with myself and did a lot of I listened to a lot of podcasts and a lot of self-growth things, and you know, stuff down the line of Jeff and Ed Myler and all that. And I'm like, I actually like myself. You know, everyone says, oh, you got to learn to love yourself. No. So liking myself and going, you can do this without alcohol. You know, you can do this. And the people you meet, when you start liking yourself and you start putting out that energy, the people that come into your life are different people. You know, different people. These people are coming into my life, and they're like, one guy at the gym said to me, goes, hey man, you've got a fucking great energy. What's your name? And then started talking to me, started talking about fighting, Muay Thai, and we trained together. And I'm like, fuck, man, what a legend. And then on the flip side of that, I see a negative person now. I'm fucking Parry, I'm up here, man. Like, I do not have time for you. I can see you. I'm out of there. You know, I just recently walked away from a job, toxic culture. See you later.
Yep.
See ya. And just no question, there's a little bit of anxiety around where the money's going to come from, but something will happen. I've closed that door. That one's going to swing open now. And just that, if I was still drinking, I would have been, oh fuck, I've got to keep this job. Where the fuck's the next pay going to come from? You know, I've got these weddings coming up. I've got to do this, that, and the other. Now it's just like really, you know, zero care factor. I'm just like, I'm moving. I'm moving on. The clarity of just sitting with myself now, it's something I've never experienced, you know. And then
acceptance.
Yeah, accepting myself.
It's called acceptance. Accepting things you can't change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know.
That you can't.
Yeah, things that you can't change. You can't change the toxic place, so you moved yourself from it, so you changed it. It's called acceptance. You know, when I used to employ people and they weren't doing a good job, I'd say, mate, I can't change you. I can't make you do the job that I want you to do. So you're fired. So I changed the situation. Because what I do is I change my position. Because the only person I've got power over is me.
Yeah.
I've got no power over what you do or what you say. I've only got power over what I do or what I say or what I think. So what I do is I remove toxic and negative things from my life. Because what you're giving me today, I don't know if you understand this yet, but you're giving me the greatest gift you can give anybody to my podcast. You're giving me your time.
Yeah.
People miss that. People miss that all the time. People go, time's money. I said, no, time's life. I talked to Jeff about it yesterday. Because Jeff was having something going on in his life. And I said, mate, you give the greatest gift that people can give. You give your time.
Yeah.
And he started laughing.
Gives.
Like, come on, man. He started laughing. He goes, yeah, you're right, Ron. 100%. You're right, brother. You know, because he gives so much. And I give a lot. Now, my missus says to me all the time, I don't know how you do that. It's our nature. But in giving, we receive. You know, you've come on my podcast because you believe in what I'm doing. That's a gift. That's a really big compliment for me. You know, I don't take shit for granted. I believe everything happens for a reason. You and I are going to form a relationship. We live close. We're going to hang out together. I'm going to help you with your recovery more. One thing I know about is recovery. You know, you may have started something that you don't even know yet. You know what I mean? And I'm interested in your business too. You know, I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old kid that I've been helping get clean. And he's a good kid. He's a rapper.
Oh yeah, sweet.
And he's trying to do his own stuff. And he's been hanging out with, you know, he's in Melbourne. He's been hanging out with some people. He's 100 and where is he? Here he is. He's 126 days clean.
Okay.
He's 17 and a half, man. He's a beautiful kid, and I don't know anything, but he spits the tunes and he talks. He teach me all the new shit, like about the bricks, because he was on the bricks and he was going to the trap house, and I'm like, slow down, motherfucker! Now you got to start. You have to speak English to me. I'm 67 years of age. I don't understand bricks. I'm a bricklayer in the boys' home. I learned how to lay bricks. Are they the ones you're talking about? He goes, nah, we're talking about the blue, the green, the yellow. And I'm going, mate, just chill out and explain to the old man what you're talking about. And he started telling me Xanax is bricks, the trap house that we go to use. So I said, so what? So some pedophiles let all the kids come there and use. And he's laughing his head off. And he goes, I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
But if he stopped rapping about that, like you watch, if he stops using, he'll stop rapping about that.
Well, no, he's starting to rap about getting clean now.
Yeah. I've got someone who he can potentially link up with down there. Yeah. Who's got a couple books out. I mean, look, it's a show about getting clean, and we can plug it if you want. His name's Glenn Munso, the Youth U program. He's got 2 books out called Drugs Don't Discriminate.
Yep.
And he's got a follow-up book, I Quit Drugs, Now What? They're fucking amazing. You can read them in one sitting, and it's almost like a textbook where you're engaged in it. He leaves blank pages in there, and he's doing amazing things down there. He'd be good for the show, mate.
I'll chase him up. When you send me his details, I will. I'll chase him up.
Yeah, well,
this kid's a good kid, mate. 17 and a half. He's pumping. He's really pumping, and he's just a joy.
That's good,
mate,
man.
I don't know anything about rap. I'm still listening to Neil Diamond.
I'm still sampling Neil Diamond.
Hey,
that's good to hear, and that's part of the reason that I did. I mulled over the weekend whether or not I was going to do this, and I thought, fuck it, like what? I got no shame. There was a couple of people I reached out to and said, look, I'm gonna come clean on this show. Yeah. Are you gonna judge me about it? Like I basically told them first. I said, this is something you don't know about me. I want you to know before you hear it on here. And they're like, man, you do what you want to do. It's your life. Like, I appreciate you telling me now, but you don't have to. It's you do what you want to do. But there's a stigma. There's stigma around drug use, especially around the needles. And like how it's gross, and you're a junkie, and you're gonna steal. I never stole from anyone. I never stole from any of my mates.
Yeah.
I stole from shops. Like I would break into shops or I'd shoplift, and so yeah, am I a thief? Was I a thief? Yeah, 100%. But I was never that dirt. That stigma that people have. Oh, he don't let him round. He'll rob your house.
You're still your video player.
Yeah.
That's how old I am. I'm still talking about video players.
That's showing our age. He'll knock off your VHS player.
Knock off your VHS.
But that's why I chose to do it, because I'm like, someone will hear it. Yeah. Someone, even if it is to do with the hip hop scene, they'll be like, that's fucking Beats from Detroit. Like I didn't know that. So I think I've made one song where I kind of let in there, that I've got in a bit of trouble and that I was using, but it's very cryptic. I never came out and said, hey, I was a user, this is how I've dealt with it. And again, I questioned what I would bring to the show, because I don't really remember how I got clean. But if it's going to help anyone out there, then for me, it was a promise. It was a clear-cut promise firstly to myself. Are you going to do this? Yes. Why? And the why behind it is really a who. Most of them, you put a W in front of it. Who, why, when, why, when, what. So for me, it was just like, make the promise to yourself, and then make the promise to other people, and tell people you trust. This is what's going on, man. Tell your dealers, fuck off. You're not my friend. You're my dealer. Love you, but fuck off. Yeah. Because my dealers were my close mates, and they were filthy on me. They were like, fuck you. We were mates. I said, mate, going to someone's house and getting me to test the gear before you buy fucking ounces of it, that's not friendship. You just want to see what are you going to do if I drop on the fucking floor?
Walk out.
Not buy it. So you got to put those safety measures in there. Same as here. I told a whole heap of friends, look, I'm not coming to your birthday. I'm getting sober. A good friend that I know up here, not a pisshead, but loves a beer. Come over and bring the kids over. Come over and have a beer. I said, yeah, I'll come over, but it won't be for alcohol. you know, and just put those things in place. And then if people love you,
Yeah.
they'll accept it. A good friend is not my best mate who's having the wedding. He goes, "You're not going to drink at my wedding?" And then he really quickly realized what he just said. He goes, "I'm sorry, man. That's of course you don't have to drink at my wedding. You know, I understand what you're doing. You don't have to drink at my wedding." He knows all about addiction, and he very, very quickly apologized for saying that. And fuck knows how much he spent, but that was not as important as me doing this. You know
what I say to people, I don't tell people I'm an alcoholic. I say I'm allergic to alcohol, which is the truth.
Yeah.
I say I'm allergic to alcohol. And if they push, they go, what happens? I say I break out in handcuffs every time I drink.
Yeah, you said that.
You know, Robert Downey Jr. used to say that too, you know. I met him in the States as well. So that's what I mean. These people that I've been trying to chase up, like I'm trying to chase up Stevie Nicks, not Stevie Nicks, what's his name? Nicky Six from the Motley Crue. He's a Motley Crue bass guitarist. Another guy called another guy was the bass guitarist for Leonard Skinner.
Oh yeah,
These are
nice.
people that I had dealings with when I lived in America.
Yeah, nice.
So because I'm doing this podcast because I want to touch people. I want to get to people and get the people to say, listen, it's okay.
Yeah.
Piss the stigma off. We're not born with horns. We're not going to come through your window and steal your children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because I grew up in a criminal world, not all addicts are the same. We're normal human beings who have an affliction that when we use a chemical, we no longer guarantee our behavior. And we're very self-destructive. The person we harm the most in our whole life is ourselves.
I really like that terminology that, you know, as soon as this chemical goes in, we can't control. And really, even if you try and minimalize it, like me saying, I just, you know, I would joke, you know, I joke, and that's the Australian culture as well. I used to say, oh, my car, there's something wrong with the steering. It pulls into the fucking bottle eye.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Yeah,
that's not funny. And then, you know, and I even get annoyed now when I hear, if I'm at a work situation or if I'm in any form of professional setting and they'll be like, oh, a couple wines on the weekend for the women. I'm like, you've just reinforced that. You've just reinforced that behavior, especially if it's in a fitness environment. You'll be like, oh, come on, let's work off the wines that we had on the weekend. I'm like, you're almost normalizing it. And I think Australia's got a massive problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's very condescending too. You know, it's borderline rude to assume that we're all afflicted the same way because I get, you know, when you go through the airport and they want to give you a wine.
Yeah.
I usually say, no, thank you. And if they're a little bit rude, I say, do you know that I'm an alcoholic and you're trying to fucking poison me?
Yeah.
I go like that. I say, well, you asked for that.
Yeah.
Like a wine, sir. No, thank you. Sir, but would you like? And I say, listen,
Yeah.
I'm a recovering alcoholic. I don't need you to try to push that poison into me. See and get that bad reaction like, whoa, wait a minute. Because it is poison.
How long do you think you will use that term recovering alcoholic? Will you ever not say that?
No. I am an alcoholic. If I drink today, I will. Last time I drank was in 1982, and I just left a rehab after being clean for 10 months. And I left the rehab and I went to a mate of mine's house in Canberra. I had a couple of beers, and I took a couple of pills. I think they were like Mandy's those days, the same as Xannies these days. A couple of Mandy's. Straight away, I wanted to get some heroin. I went down the road and I stole an old HQ panel van.
Fuck.
It was a baker's car, so I put the baker's hat on and I wrapped the thing around my head because I was going to go into an armed robbery. I crashed the car. The police car comes with a big orange transit van with police written on it. He's an ACT, Federal Police. When he gets me, I'm down the road and he pulls up and he goes, oh, was you driving that car down there? I said, nah. And I got blood all over me. No, my mate was. I said, he's really hurt. And he said, get in the car. And I get in the back of the car. It wasn't like it was a safety car, you know, big orange transit van. And he gets down and I go, oh, my mate's in the car, I think. And he gets out the car to go and check on me, mate. I steal the transit van.
Shouldn't laugh.
And I drive the transit van to my mate's place where I've just left. And I park in the carport. And I run upstairs and I got the police radio they've stolen out of the car. And I'm listening. And it goes, yeah, we've just found the van. He's in room 24. And I'm like, oh, shit. I put the put my hands on their head when the door got kicked in, you know. That was the last time I drank, 1982. So from one drink, that's what happened. So that was my last drink.
I feel a little bit like going back to stigma and all that, and if this can help people too, for that ownership and that honesty. I don't like saying I'm an alcoholic, especially if I'm not drinking. But there was a time in my life when I was a fucking mess. Everything I did musically when I was younger, I made with a box of red wine next to me. It's when I make music, that's my producer's name is Red Wine, because. And it was a bit of a joke. It's like, oh, the more pissed he gets, the more creative he's going to get, and you know, it was a bit of a stigma around it. But I don't like it. I say I used to be an alcoholic, but then I meet people like in the meeting, and I've met people since on my journey over the last 3 months. The people that go, I am an alcoholic, and one bloke said to me, he hasn't drunk for like 27 years. I'm like, how come you still say it? He goes, because that self accountability. He goes, I'm an alcoholic. You know,
I'm a recovering alcoholic today. I'm not an active alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic.
I don't know. I guess I just don't feel that way about labels.
Yeah, well, look, it's not relevant. It's not important. It's not important. It's not the game. It's not the game changer. What the game changer is that you know that when you take a chemical, you no longer guarantee behavior.
Yeah.
And it cuts off your emotional connection with the people you love and the people you care about.
Yeah.
So what's more important? Getting fuzzy-headed or being clear-headed? Your production of music will be 10 times better once you're clean and than what you are when you're drinking and drugging. Now that's a fantasy. I perform better when I'm on the gear.
Yeah.
Fucking there.
That was another thing. It's a occupational hazard doing music, because sometimes we will get paid in alcohol. They would be like, so you're getting paid, say you get $1,000 for the gig and you get a rider, and they'll be like, do you want us to put more on the bar instead of you pay? And you fucking, yeah, why not? And then it's cheaper for them to pay you in that. And then being the artist, you're seeing fans and they're like, oi, open your mouth, bong, see you later, you know, or do you want to bump? Let's go. So and I truly believe that. I would drink fucking I would have smashed 6 beers and take like 10 Valium before I could even get on stage. And I used to tell myself, you need to drink to dull your anxiety before you get on stage. And then I would scull jugs on stage. I'd be fucking blind and hold it together because I was somebody else up there. I was Beats. I was being this persona of a person. I was being a moniker, a stage name. So that's dangerous too for your old mate who's a rapper. Don't accept alcohol for payment. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's good advice. It's actually good advice.
Bunda only.
Yeah. Yeah, my money don't jiggle, it folds. Yeah, mate. So is your mum Greek as well?
Nah, it's just my stepfather. Like,
mum's Aussie?
Yeah.
You know, you speak like a Greek?
Yeah, and my hands, yeah. Maybe that's it. Everyone says I've got an accent. Maybe that's it.
It is. I grew up with Greeks. I grew up,
mate. I was growing up. All my cousins and that were Greek too, man.
No. The Ghana, Sagala, huh?
Yasu.
Pozoleni. Yeah. Pozoleni is what's your name? Pozoleni. Gala. Bravo, Ronnie, bravo. I got a Greek mum. She's 93.
Yeah, right. So you're Greek?
She's not my real mother. She took me in. Yeah. My mum died when I was 19. I started using heroin when I was 19 after my mum died.
Well, goes back to your trauma, mate.
And I had trauma before that, but that was the catalyst.
Yeah.
I've done my life story probably 5 times from every angle. So I understand who I am. I understand how I tick. I do a lot of writing on everything. I'll do if we're you and I are mates and we have a fallout, I'll do a writing on our relationship to see where the exact nature of my wrongs. Because once I put it on paper, it's real. Yeah. While it's in my mind, I can justify it.
Yeah.
Turn it around to how I want it to sound.
Yeah, control the narrative.
Exactly.
I've just started journaling. It's more about what I'm learning, but also flaws, like admitting flaws and weaknesses in this spot. Like I felt like having a drink today,
Yep.
or this pissed me off today, or why did I feel like when I just left this job recently, and I was like, fuck these cocksuckers, rah, and I was wild. I'm like, when I fucking see him, and then I'm like, stop. Are you really going to do that?
Yeah.
Are you really going to do it? So I could have easily got pissed. You fucking dog. Right. When I see you, you better cross the street. Yada, yada, yada. Sober. You know what I did? Fucking deleted their numbers out my phone, mate. See you later. Fluff off the palm of my hand.
They're sober decisions.
Yeah.
They're what I call sane decisions. An insane decision for you today would be to pick up a chemical.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So there's the definition of insanity. That's the second step. The first step tells you you're powerless over alcohol and your life's unmanageable. Right?
Yeah.
So you can cop that. I'm powerless over alcohol. Once I have one, I can't stop. And when I drink, my life gets a bit unmanageable. That's true. The second step says, I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Am I insane when I make those decisions? Fucking oath I am. When I'm taking the chemical out, I make sane decisions. Why? Because you turned your will and your life over to something greater than yourself. And at the moment, that something greater than yourself is your belief in yourself. You know what I mean? So you're already working a program that's working your life. It doesn't have to be this program or that program or pigeonhole this and that. It has to be, as long as the power that you believe in is greater than you, it could be your wife and your kids. That's the power greater than yourself. My 40-year-old daughters have never seen me drunk or stoned.
That's good. That's a big driver for me. My granddaughter, I don't ever wanted to see that.
Exactly.
And just the fact that it may scare her or whatever, or just me being, come in here, sweetie. Like it might be too loud.
Yeah.
My son has seen it, and my son, I hate it. He knows what a hangover is. He knows what being drunk is, and I fucking regret it. But like you said, I can't change the past. I can't take that out of his mind. But what I can show him is that, the lighthouse, boom.
I'm a better man today.
And if it takes him 20 years to notice, if I'm like still alive in 20 years, which I hope I will be, but I want him to say, Dad did this, Dad made that move, and to empower him as well, and go, I can't sit. Do you know what the worst thing was when I was a kid? Is my mum she would sit there and go, you better not fucking drink when you're older, and you better not smoke.
That's incongruent.
You smoke when you're older, I'll fucking kick your ass, and don't you drink either. And then buy us non-alcoholic beer.
That's insanity. See, because mum was insane.
Later on, still an alcoholic.
I should get you
alcoholic to this day.
I should get you. My sister died as an alcoholic, and then she died on the drugs 5 years ago. My older sister, she's a couple of years older than me, so she drank right up until she's 60 something, 60. 62, 63, still full-blown alcoholic, terrible person to be around, ended up by using with her kids, But that's the nature of this disease. It is a disease. It gets worse.
You think it's a disease? That's another thing I was going to ask you.
I call disease not a medical term.
Okay.
My word is disease as far as I never felt comfortable within myself, so I had to put a chemical in to try to make myself feel normal.
Right, yeah.
Do you relate to that?
Yeah.
You didn't feel whole, that you put the chemical in trying to fill the hole up. Now, my program believes that you can't fill the hole up from the outside. You got to fill the hole up from the inside with love, understanding, and kindness. That's where my healing comes from.
That's good.
Instead of resentment, hatred, and anger, I filled it with love, kindness, and understanding.
Yeah.
The three things I wanted in my life when I was a child was love, understanding, and forgiveness. As a human being, I make mistakes. I need forgiveness. As a human being, I need love. And I need kindness. I need kindness because I react badly to negative stuff. I'm a reactor. If you come aggressively at me, I'm going to punch you. I don't care who you are. If you threaten me, because I'm actually a scared little boy.
Yeah, same.
I've been a scared little boy my whole life. And I used anger and violence to keep you away from me to see how scared I was. So I was
Mm.
always a scared little boy who was afraid of the dark, who could make everybody run away from me because of my mask,
Yeah.
and also because of my unlove for myself. I didn't care if you killed me.
Yeah.
The person who's got the most power is the one who cares the least.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
when you see these guys that are iced up these days, they're the most dangerous because they don't care about themselves anymore.
No shit. Scary.
And if you think about using, it's a form of self-mutilation.
Mm.
Every time you do that, it's a form of self-mutilation. Every time you stick something in your body to change the way you feel, you're mutilating your emotions.
Mm.
You're trying to kill something inside yourself. And you don't want to kill it. What we want to do is control it.
Mm.
And the only way you control it is by having a program, having a belief system, having a process and procedure like any other fucking business, process and procedure to manage this unmanageability.
The business analogy is good. I really like that.
Yeah,
Would you go into anything else so blind?
exactly.
You know, and that's where I guess I'm a little bit afraid of how I'm doing it. I went to a meeting. I said that's not for me. I was in Jeff's program, really fucking good for me. But now I'm just sort of pissing in the wind.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's why you're on here, mate. Everything's for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in that. I am. You know, maybe something will evolve out of this with you and I. I know for a fact, and I'm going to ask you this question. You don't have to answer it. Does your head tell you sometimes you're not worth it? You're not worthy? You should knock yourself?
yeah, not of late, but
No,
no. 100%. Yeah, I've been suicidal in my life.
So
Sure.
you've got some lying, thieving fucking cunt living in your head. Would you let that person live in your house?
No.
That talks to you like that?
No.
Well, why would you let him live in your head?
Good question. Good
And
question.
that's the analogy that I use. The problem is my thinking. Alcohol is not the problem. The way I react once you put alcohol in me is the problem.
I like that.
Alcohol is not my problem. Heroin's not my problem. I'm my problem. I'm the only one that can take care of my problem with the guidance and help of somebody else who's taking care of their problem.
So you believe that you need your hand held, for lack of better words. You think, yeah.
You've got to have a mentor. I've still got the same spiritual advisor I've had for 36 and a half years. I've known him for 41 years. I've been doing this recovery gig for 41 years. I fiddle asked around for the first 5 years. And I got 10 months up, relapsed, got a year up, relapsed, got 30 months up, relapsed.
Fuck.
But we never had the information we got today. You got to remember, we're talking back in the day in the 70s when in the early 81, I got clean, right? We didn't have this information.
No.
Today you've got information. What's information? Information's power. Kerry Packer, I had the luxury of meeting Kerry Packer. And he said to me, Ron, money used to drive me. He said, now it doesn't interest me. He said, power comes from information. That's why I own a newspaper company. That's why I own a TV station. He said, I can control people through the power of my papers.
Fuck.
This was before internet. This is before all this shit came along.
Crazy, eh?
And it's the truth. Power comes from information. Why do you think Elon Musk is such a smart man? Why do you think, all these people are so powerful? Because they've got all the information in the world. Why is Google so strong? It's an information collector. All the $1 trillion, $1 billion people these days are all in information. They all have information. They all have something that we don't have.
Information technology.
Exactly. So the information we need is just one day at a time. If I don't pick up a chemical, I'm a chance of having a good life. If I pick up a chemical, my life turns to shit. Simple. My program is really simple.
That's going to bounce around in my head for a long time, mate. That'll be
good.
That's good. Because I was just, I guess right now is probably a dangerous stage. This time period, like the 3 months, there's a milestone. Like I've done that, and I've got some things coming up, and
The honeymoon period.
yeah, and so now it's kind of like, and it's, you know, especially like now, like this is the time, like 3:30 in the afternoon, the days I've got everything done, sit back, kids home, sit back, I'm gonna have a fucking beer.
Reward myself. I deserve it.
Yeah, and then someone said to me the other day, why don't you get some of those non-alcoholic beers? And I'm like, why don't I just shoot up water?
Why don't you masturbate without your hands? Oh, I've never drank non-alcoholic wine. I've never had that. I just didn't, in my brain. That's like
what a waste of time.
Maybe a plastic doll. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's look at the alternatives here, you know.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it for my daughter's wedding. I really want to toast. So that's a situation where I might take a non-alcoholic champagne, you know.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
That's to sit at home and drink a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer, it's kind of like, you know, what's the fucking point of that? I drink to get drunk.
You drink for the effect.
Yeah, I don't drink for the taste of it. Like, who drinks beer for the taste of it?
Yeah, I never used anything for the taste. You know, when I drank alcohol, I drank scotch.
Yeah, right.
And I drank it straight. That's
another thing that I found funny is, like, with my drinking, I'm a beer drinker. Like, I'll drink wine if we're at dinner and that, but I could drink like chug beer and be pissed. And I've got a bar, like a collection of like cognacs and real top line scotches, you know, Johnny Walker Blue. Not interested. So I could, and that always spun me out. As I was pisshead and I'd really want to get drunk, and then I'd look and not touch them.
Because the way they make you feel is not the same way as beer makes you feel. Every chemical has a different reaction in your brain. See, you like speed, I like heroin. You know why? Because heroin reacts differently to me than what it would to you. Because I've had coke once in my life, and I hated it. Yeah. Once in my life, and don't forget, I went to prison for importation of cocaine. I used to go to Colombia. Yeah. You know, so it wasn't as though I didn't know where to get on.
That's another thing I was going to bring up. Was one that to backtrack, I was addicted to morphine for about 2 years when I injured my back when I was young.
Yep.
So that's another thing I came off, and that's a strange one because the doctors sort of normalize that and allow you to be on it. But going back to coke, so I'm going to Peru next year, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Peru, the rack, rah, rah, rah. And then I'm like, I just hear the needle scratch on the record player. Hang on a minute. Aren't you sober? So what are you going there for? So I'm going over there to walk the Inca Trail.
Yeah, beautiful place. Go.
Yeah, I will. So walk to Machu Picchu. And then I just spoke to someone recently about helping me bring a component into it of fundraising. So fundraising, she's like, what for? And I said, maybe helping men with alcohol problems and getting back to see their families, see if we can raise a bit of money for that. So on the flip of a coin, I'm like, I'm not going there for the coke. Just told myself that's not why you're going there. And I guess it's going back to that normalization of Australia, the Australian culture of have a beer, mate, go and have a beer. Over there, everyone I've told I'm going to South America, you're going to get on the rack, And it was huge. It was actually up there on my list of what I'm going to do when I get there.
Yeah.
And now I've just went, fuck, who are you kidding? Because where's that going to lead? You're going to end up in a fucking bathtub full of ice with your kidneys missing because you pissed, you know, and you fucking walking down the street like this. So
not a place you want to muck around.
Nah. And then I met a bloke who's from Cuba. He lives on my street, and he said, he goes, it's a dangerous place, man. And even when I've been over in the Philippines, a bloke gave me some advice. He goes, a man who walks like snake is in trouble. He goes, no matter how drunk you are, he goes, hold yourself high and walk straight, you know, because as soon as they see you pissed, you're gone. So it's a funny thing, that clarity that I have to say now, I'm not going till next year, April next year, but to put it in there now, going back to those safety nets, to tell myself now, that's not why you're going there. Yeah. You're going there for this. And now it's just gone. And it's like maybe 15 years ago would have been good to go over there and do coke. Fuck yeah, probably would have been. You know, getting all that pure shit. But it's like, who are you? Who am I kidding?
Yeah.
Why even stay sober now and then go over there and do that?
The reality is, when you got over there, you could be set up and sold something and get pinched for it, because then they can extort you.
Yeah.
You could be sold something that's not it, or you could just be robbed.
Yeah.
It's not like going down to Torrance in Adelaide and buying a little gram of cocaine from one of the dealers. You know what I mean? It's a different world over there, mate. I was there with cartel, and they told me to take my gold chain off because we would be shot to death by fucking 14-year-old kids to steal my gold chain so they could feed their family. And I was sitting there with a guy with a Glock,
a few meals in that one.
Yeah, well, I just got robbed last week in Bali. That's another story. I'll show you. I got the video of it.
Yeah.
They tried to rip a chain that big off around my neck and nearly pulled themselves off the bike. Put me in the middle of the road. I broke a rib, tore my pec muscle, got bruised with a bone in my knee. They grabbed the chain like that off my neck in Bali. Boom.
Did they get it?
No, mine's. I own a jewelry company. That chain's 35-year-old. It hasn't got a link in it. Hasn't got a join.
That's what I want to do. I want to get this one welded to my neck.
Yeah.
I have to talk to you off there then.
Yeah, we will. But mate, look, this is going to come out as a 2-part series, I reckon, brother.
Oh, really? We've bunged on that long, have we?
Yeah, bloody hell, it's nearly an hour and 45 minutes. But you know what, mate? It's been really good.
It's good. I hope someone gets something from it, you know.
Mate, you know what our job is? To plant seeds. Our job's not for any other reason.
Yeah.
What they do is their business. It's true. We're powerless over people, places, and things.
Yeah.
My job is to plant seeds. What they do with the seed, if they don't want to water it, that's their business.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
My business is to keep planting seeds.
Love what you're doing, man.
If one of those seeds grow, mate, we've done a great job, you know?
Fucking
I really think of what you're doing, mate. I look forward to catching up. We need to catch up and hang out.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Go have a water.
And other stuff as well. But so, you know, thanks to Beach for coming on to The Truth About Addiction. If anyone's struggling out there, contact my company. I've never done that before. I've never promoted myself. My wife's had a go at me, said, you've got to start promoting yourself.
Hit subscribe.
Yeah. Hit subscribe, follow, like. I'm not like that. You know, it's not my deal. My deal is, mate, just carry the message from people. You know, I believe in a higher power. And if something's guides you into my life, well, you know, welcome and God bless. You know, I say God bless, and I don't even know who God is.
Yeah.
I have trouble naming my kids. How am I going to name her some higher power? What they call it? Love, hope, strength, you know, whatever. Just something positive and something nurturing and something that's not selfish. I'll finish on this. One of my best mates in Los Angeles tattoos everybody. Yeah. That's how I met Charlie Sheen. I met all these stars through him. He tattoos them all. And as you walk in his door, it's in Sunset Boulevard, right next to the House of Blues in Los Angeles. There's a big sign on top of his door that says, people who are wrapped up in themselves make small parcels.
I love it.
And I love it. I love it. I take that with me everywhere because I never want to be a small parcel again.
Okay, man.
All right, brother. Thank you, mate.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.